Black women across the country of the United States are reclaiming their time, their rest, and their power on our own terms. And here, we're doing it God's way. Welcome to Sisters Unbothered, the place where we reject the grind, unlearn the struggle, and embrace the kind of peace that can't be shaken. I'm Coach Nikki Cates, and every week we're having real, unfiltered conversations about rest as resistance, ease as strategy, and why soft power is not just a luxury, it's our birthright. Because in a world that expects us to carry everything, choosing rest is revolutionary. So take a deep breath, sis. You don't have to earn this. Now, let's get to it. Welcome back. Hello, Sisters Unbothered. Thank you so much for coming back and checking me out. I hope I've already earned your trust, and if I have not, I hope to have the chance to as we embark on this journey together of using our rest strategically and as resistance. Now, for today, we are starting a series about She Who Is Becoming, and the focus of this series is about identity. It's about shredding and shedding the labels that life has thrown at us, the roles we've outgrown, and the masks we've worn just to survive. We're taking those off, ladies. We're taking them off. We're talking about unlearning, wrestling, and realigning. And yes, reclaiming the name God has spoken over you and I. So let me ask you this right from the jump. Who are you beyond what you do? Let's talk about it. So, tell me about yourself. You hear that question? And suddenly your throat tightens. Your mind goes blank and you reach for the safest answer you've got. We're so used to listing what we do, who we take care of, what we've survived, what we've achieved. But rarely do we speak to who we are at our core. So let me ask you this, sis. If you couldn't use your job title, your roles, your trauma, or your resume, how would you describe yourself? Pause and let that sit for a second, because that's the question that we're unpacking today. Being a life coach working with women, this question stumps so many, including myself. That question, tell me about yourself, has tripped up so many brilliant, beautiful women I've coached and mentored over the years. And if we're being real, it has tripped me up too many times because we're not usually taught to define ourselves outside of our performance, our productivity, our usefulness to others. We are not trained to value our being, only our doing. So let me ask you, how do you feel when you hear that question? Tell me about yourself. What value do you bring? It sounds simple, right? But for so many of us, especially women, and especially women of color, it's a loaded question. Because if we're honest, we've been trained to answer to what we do. We say, I'm a mother of 4. I'm married with 3 kids. I have a degree and 10 years of experience in the industry. We know how to give a resume rundown like it's our elevator pitch because we've practiced that. But then there are those that might go even deeper. I'm a bit of a people pleaser. I can be a bit anxious at times. I'm a little guarded. Sis, we have got to stop rehearsing the lies that life taught us. So what happens when those labels no longer fit? The ones that we've rehearsed. the ones based off of what we do. Here's the truth. I didn't always know who I was. I was who people said I was. I was what I had been through. I was the survival story. Teen mom, scared, needy, little light-skinned girl who didn't know where she fit. Growing up in poverty, raised in survival, called moody, difficult, dramatic, irresponsible. So I grabbed onto these titles to prove I was worth something at least. And those titles became things like wife, mother, whatever job I was holding, coordinator, agent, broker, believer, hustler, helper. But when those roles shift, or when the job ends, and when the kids grow up, because mine definitely did, when the marriage breaks 3 times, who are you then? And that is a question that I've had to confront and face and overcome. And now here I sit sharing what I've learned with you. I want to remind you that this is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. This moment that we're living in isn't just about finding a job, finding a sponsor, finding an investor, finding a collaborator or a partner. It's about finding ourselves. We're in a season where the world is trying to erase who we are as a collective. And that's going to trickle down into how we see ourselves individually, especially for Black women, especially now. How many of us could relate to Big Sister General Vice President Kamala Harris being the most qualified for the job, yet being thrown out like she wasn't good enough? We all could relate to that. We're still the most educated, most loyal, most spiritually grounded demographic in this country. And yet, we're constantly made to feel like we're not enough. And watching her experience that on center stage of the world, that hurt. Even when we show up fully, even when we lead with excellence, even when we raise the money, win the hearts, inspire the masses, it's still not enough. That's the story they try to tell us about us. But that, my sisters, doesn't have to be. Matter of fact, it's not intended to be our story. Okay, so you already know. We're going to take it to the Word because that is the only firm, solid foundation to stand upon. So let's talk about the God who sees for a moment. Genesis 16:13 says, "Therefore Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord who had spoken to her. She said, 'You are the God who sees me.'" Now let me give you a backstory here, if you're not familiar. Hagar is an Egyptian servant forced into a situation she did not choose. She was used, abandoned, and cast out. So what had happened was, you may be familiar with Abraham and Sarah. God promised that Abraham would be the father of many nations, that he would have descendants more than the stars in the sky. However, they were extremely old and had not yet conceived a child. Sarah was impatient, like many of us, like me, decided to take matters into her own hands. So she gave her servant Hagar to her husband for conception, and she became pregnant. Sarah became jealous, of course. Ooh, women, we could be so petty. She became jealous and ended up driving her away. So Hagar runs away. And it's in the wilderness that she meets the only one who truly sees her. Not the one that pities her, but speaks to her and blesses her child, and renames her story. And it is in that interaction where she encounters God and decides that He is the one who sees. What do you think about that? He is the one who sees. He didn't approach it from a perspective of chastise or why did you let them use you? They did you wrong. You could have chosen to do X, Y, and Z, like we do in the world with each other. She had to stop running, sit in the silence of the desert, and hear him say, I see you, I know you, I named you. Now think about it for a minute. Many of us, I don't think I so much anymore as I've grown, but I used to temper my prayers like God didn't already know what was up. Girl, bye. He sees all of us better than anyone on this earth ever will, just like he saw her. And she could have said so many other things about this God that she encountered. But what she saw was that he saw her. And I want to talk about that for a second because I think people misconstrue sometimes what that means to be seen. And I'm thinking about the movie Beyond the Lights, if you're familiar. And on that movie, it's this thing where the pop star was going to jump off the roof and jump off the balcony and kill herself because she didn't feel like anyone could see her. She didn't mean just looking at her. I mean, she was beautiful. She was perfectly orchestrated and curated for the eye, right, in the industry. But she didn't feel like anyone saw her. And when we say see, we're talking about the depths of someone's being, their soul, their authenticity, their heart, their mind. This is what she was referring to. And I think all of us need to be seen in that way, especially now, as it is appearing that our country is wiping out anything that has to do with us. So I want to encourage you, my sister, to see yourself and to remember that God sees you and begin to surround yourself with people who also see you. And people that don't might need to set some boundaries there. I'm just saying. So this season that we're in right now, we've talked about this before, this season of strategic rest, it is a sacred time. It is strategic rest, it is holy resistance, and it is deep alignment. This is your time for deep alignment with God's will, His provision, His protection. So I want you to ask yourself, God, who do you say I am? I want you to ask Him, Ask Him. If you're in mess, just find silence in the mess and ask God, who do you say I am? Because I know this isn't it. I know this isn't it. When I finally asked that question and stopped looking for validation outside of myself, the whole world shifted around me. And that's it too. Why do we feel like others have to validate us? If God says you are who you are, you no longer need external validation to be. And that's going to change what you do. You see the cycle there? I had to stop living for applause and start living in alignment, because it's not always going to be applause when you walk the path that God has given to you. It's going to require some humility. It's going to require some sacrifice. But I promise you, you're going to have way more peace when you are in alignment with our Creator, with your true self, and with your purpose for being in this crazy, crazy world. And from that place, you'll be able to finally answer the tell me about yourself question, not with titles, but with truth. Now, I wanted to share this with you that I think is pretty powerful. When God renamed people in the Bible, it was never just about them. It was about the purpose in a community sense. So Abram became Abraham, the father of nations. Sarai became Sarah, which is mother of many. Simon became Peter, a rock for the church. Their names, their new names, were not just a calling. They were a calling, not just an identity. So hear me. A strong you makes the collective stronger. Do we not need more of that in the Black community in the United States of America now moving forward? I think we do, for all of us. All of us, because we're always going to have weak links. You don't have to be one of them. We're not here to compete with each other. We are here to uplift and empower and encourage each other, to hold each other up. That is what community is. And I think that our community has been missing that for some time. We believed the hokey doke. We believed the lies that Black people were crabs in a barrel and could not stand together. And I don't think that that's true anymore. I think that we're starting to see that that is not true, that that is a lie of the oppressor. Okay? So next time someone asks, tell me about yourself, you will have already practiced and rehearsed responding to that question, but it won't be with statistics and accomplishments. Okay? Don't freeze, don't shrink, don't default to bullet points, sis. Instead, pause, breathe, and respond in a way that you will feel seen, heard, and authentic in every way. Remember, what was it, last week when we talked about authenticity being a way to overcome the grips of the oppressor in your life and in your conditioning? Be authentic in who you are, and especially in who God says that you are. So, I have an assignment for you this week, a coaching assignment. Here's your sacred assignment for this week. I want you to sit in silence for 10 minutes. No music, no distractions. Just ask God, who do you say I am? Have a notebook there. Write down the false labels as you begin to realize them. All the ones you've picked up from people, culture, trauma. Then I want you to burn them, rip them, or just release them. And then start your becoming list. Write down your truths, your values, and reflections of the woman you are. Not the one you were trained or conditioned or expected to be, but who you truly are. And if you're already subscribed to the Substack, you will see that the free Unbothered workbook is already there for you to assist with this assignment. If you're not, please go to the Substack. I know it's another app, ladies, but I promise you, you will be glad. The community over there, especially amongst Black women, is beautiful. And you can, if you like to read, there's so many options to read, okay? But you also have some of your favorite independent media journalists over there as well. Joy Reid is there now. Don Lemon is over there. So, Aaron from Mr. Breaking News from TikTok is there. So don't feel too pressed about bringing in the Substack ag. It's not what you think. It's not even like an algorithm. It's very genuine. I enjoy it very much. I don't get a whole lot of movement over there yet, but it's pleasant. It's refreshing. A breath of fresh air. So check out the Substack. You can go to substack.com/at Coach Nikki Cates. Okay, and the link is in my bio. Or you can go to my link tree. And you can download this free Unbothered workbook, and it will help you to work through this process of creating your becoming list. Okay. And if you're not on that a subscriber yet, you can subscribe for free, obviously. Now, I am going to start doing some group coaching in the near future, and that will be for paid subscribers. So tune in, sis. I am here to help us to use our rest strategically. So what are you waiting for? All right. Well, next week, we're going to dive deeper into what I would call the sacred struggle. Because before many of us are renamed, we have to wrestle with who we've been. So we're going to be talking about wrestling with God. Who? Jacob. Yes. And we're going to be talking about that in-between season, right? Where you're not who you were, but you're not quite who you know you're called to be either. That in-between season is very powerful and it's very needed. And a lot of us underrate it. And a lot of us complain through it. And many of us, including myself, are very impatient in it. But it's super vital to truly walking in who God called us to be. So we will talk about that next week. But today, I want you to know you are more than your roles. You are more than your resume. You are more than what broke you. You are seen. You are known. You are becoming. I love you, my sister. I'll talk to you next week. All right, sis, that's a wrap on this episode of Sisters Unbothered. If today's conversation reminded you that you don't have to hustle for your worth, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And don't keep this to yourself. Send it to a sister who needs to hear this, girl. Let's keep this energy going. Follow me on TikTok or Fanbase at I am Nikki Cates. Also, on Substack, you can find Sisters Unbothered with Coach Nikki. And on YouTube at Nikki Cates, Sisters Unbothered, or I am Nikki Cates. For more on rest, faith, and living unbothered as Black women in America. Because choosing rest is choosing freedom. And Black women, we deserve both. Talk to you soon.